Are you a note investor without a website, or do you want to optimize your current website to be the most effective possible? Well, today's episode is Note Investor Website Advice, and let's jump right into it with the first critical component, a hosting platform and a CMS. Your hosting platform through a company like Bluehost or SiteGround is essentially the database or server where your website content lives. Your CMS, on the other hand, is the content management system. The industry standard, I would say, is WordPress, and essentially allows you to design your website, create the content, build the page structure, your blog posts, everything that you need. And then by connecting the two, you have a live website on the domain of your choice. On the other hand, you could also use a what you see is what you get editor like Wix or Squarespace to make the process a ton easier by combining the hosting, the CMS, and even the domain name purchase all into one. Now, if you've gotten that far, you actually need to do it twice because investors in the note space need to have two websites, one for their borrower facing and another for their investor or counterparty facing site. So I think a really great example of this is PPR. PPR, or Partners for Payment Relief, has a couple different websites that they use to fulfill these different purposes. So on their investor website, you can see information about their note fund, infographics on how it works, some key advantages, state-by-state breakdowns, their current fund offerings, a newsletter, and a whole bunch of other pages with resources and careers and contact information. Whereas on the other hand, their borrower-facing site is pretty simple. It's a web form, a phone number, an address, and some language to fulfill their FDCPA requirements about being communication from a debt collector. And we'll see if we look at the URL here, even if we delete this, it'll still redirect to the same page. So there is just one page on this entire site. And the reason is because they are separating their traffic between their borrowers and their investors. And you'll see they do this through the use of web forms and lead magnets. So on the borrower side, they do a great job to collect the information about the borrower's name, address, phone number, loan number, and a little bit more information so that they can get non-performing defaulted loan borrowers into a reperforming status through some type of modification or resolution. They give all the information here for the borrower to quickly contact them to get the loan back on track. Whereas on the investor side, they use a lead magnet in the form of a newsletter to collect email addresses so they can market to these future investors into the future. Now, they also use this website to enhance their professional image for banks and other sellers of loans. So essentially, this website serves as a lead gen for both capital through the investors, as well as deals through the banks and hedge funds and credit unions and other potential sellers of notes that go to this page to make sure that PPR is a vetted counterparty. Next up, let's talk about language to communicate trust. And this language is so important in the note space. You want to do that with your investors on your investor-facing side and also with your borrowers on the borrower-facing side. Something that I think PPR is lacking on their borrower-facing website is any information or tutorial to help the borrower understand exactly what this business entails. And something really important is the assignment of mortgage. This is a public recorded document with the third-party county recorder. So by explaining on that borrower-facing site that if the borrower is a little bit apprehensive about getting a modification or a payment plan in place, they can go right to their county, to the government official in their local area to check to make sure that PPR in this case is on the most recently recorded assignment of mortgage. On the investor side, they do a really great job to communicate trust through a very, very polished presentation with a ton of information that can be very, very useful for these investors to feel comfortable making an investment in the note fund. And that wraps it up. If you need any help at all, please comment below with your URL, and I'd be happy to critique your website right in the YouTube chat to help you get to the next stage in your note investing career. And as always, thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you on the next one.